All right, here we are, episode 3 of my little breadcrumbs that I have been given over the years. So, the last episode, we left off with what my childhood breadcrumbs have been. Now we're gonna go jump into adulthood breadcrumbs, and trust me, guys, this is where it starts to get juicy. So, I left it off with my grandfather's funeral and how he had a status card that we discovered randomly. Sorry, I was looking at my hair because I'm vague like that. Um, anyways, so yeah, as I got older, there were more secrets that started to be revealed. I'm trying to think of when the next little breadcrumb was dropped. I think, well, actually, I did remember a breadcrumb from my childhood that I didn't include in episode 2, so I'll drop that here. I do remember that my grandmother, back in the day, I don't even remember how old I was or what the scene was, but I do know that this was said. She told me that my great-grandmother's mother had an affair with a man. And there's suspicion that my great-grandmother's father, the one that was on paper, wasn't his actual biological father. So that's a whole other rabbit hole that I wasn't expecting to pop up. Yeah, I was set out to go look for my great-grandfather and figure out who the frick he was. But now I'm gonna go set out to find out who not only my great-grandfather was, but my great-great-grandfather. So, this is going to be interesting, y'all. I've got quite the rabbit hole going on here. So anyways, that happened when in my later teen years. That I know for sure. I just don't remember if it was like 15, 16, 17, 18. I don't remember exactly when that was. So, but what we do know about my family is that my great-grandfather, the man that I knew as my great-grandfather, the man that I met, I've been to his house many, many, many times. The man who carries my last name was not my biological great-grandfather, and we all know that. The thing that we don't know is who my biological great-grandfather was. We know that my grandfather was adopted, and by this man who carried my last name, which never fully resonated with me. I have always had this dislike for my last name. So, there you have it. So anyways, as I got to adult years, this started to unfold like 3 years ago, I think it's been. And I just turned 32 the other day, so this is brand new stuff. So anyways, there was a bomb dropped on us. And I'm gonna get into so much trouble for sharing this if that side of the family ever finds this video, so this is juicy. I'm gonna be in so much trouble here. But my dad was living in this small town in Saskatchewan. And he went to the dentist the one day for a routine checkup and to get his teeth cleaned and all this kind of stuff. And he goes to sit down into the chair, and the dental assistant comes up to him and says, "Your last name is blank. Do you know blank blank?" And my dad's like, that's my brother. Why? Like, how? What? Because we lived in Winnipeg. And then my uncle moved to a small town in Saskatchewan on the other side of Saskatchewan. He now lives in a city in Alberta, and he has since I was a child. But there wasn't a transition period there for a little bit, but this was while I was alive. So this lady was clearly from Winnipeg. My dad's like, what? Like, how do you know my brother? Like, how is this possible? How? And she goes, well, you see, I had a child with him. My dad's like, what? How did we not know about this? So he goes to meet this child, this illegitimate child. I hate that term though. That makes me cringe. I hate it. So anyways, he gets to know her and meets them and meets the family and all this stuff, and I don't know, it checks out. Like, this is prior to my uncle meeting my aunt, so it checks out. So anyways, my dad goes ahead and does an ancestry DNA test himself and orders one for this long lost family member. That's how we're gonna name her. Long lost family member and himself, to see if they're related. And the DNA test comes back, and sure shit, we are definitely related to this girl. So we have a long lost family member, half cousin of mine. So that's cool. I got a new cousin. She was really awesome. It was really interesting meeting her because that uncle has 2 sons, 2 daughters that I knew growing up all my life. And this girl that I had met, she came out looking like a perfect mix of the 2 girls that I know are my cousins. So that was trippy. It was like, whoa, she was spitting image of these girls. Anywho, I was told to keep it a secret, that I was not to tell my family that this girl exists, yada yada yada. I held on to the secret for about 6 months. And then finally I got a spiritual ping, because I'm intuitive and spiritual AF and all this stuff. So I decided, sorry, I had a random itch and it wasn't gonna be cute on camera, so I paused it for 2 seconds. I had this ping that I needed to tell my cousin that she has a half sister that she doesn't know about. So I followed that because it felt like the right thing to do. And that was when my father's side of the family disowned me. I haven't spoken to anybody on that side of the family since. My cousin was very grateful that I told her. She was super excited to find out that she has a half-sister, but there was a lot of drama. My dad called me the next day and he's swearing at me, screaming at me, telling me all these nasty things, and told me never to speak to him again. So I said, aye, Captain, and I haven't spoke to him since. So that was interesting. And then my father found out that either he has a half-sister that he didn't know about, or my grandma has a half-sister that nobody knew about. I can't remember exactly which it is. So the moral of the story is there's a ton of illegitimacy on my father's side of the family. And there's a lot to uncover and discover and all of that. I am convinced that if the family pattern has continued, that I have half siblings out there. And my intuition tells me I do. So I guess we'll see what the DNA test results are. But I'm excited mostly to find out who my great-grandfather was. Number one, because he obviously skipped out on his child. None of us know who he is or was or any of that. And that man was probably abusive, because there is a string of abuse ever since that man entered the family tree. Yeah, they're all hella abusive. So I want to stop that pattern. I want to break the cycle, break the chains, and figure out how to heal all of the abandonments, the abusive tendencies, etc., etc. And then I'm feeling internally that, oh, sorry, let me back up a little bit. For years, ever since my spiritual awakening, I have felt like I get my gifts from both my mother's side because I know that was a thing. Random stepdaughter running by through my video. Anyways, so I know my mother's grandfather, so my great-grandfather, he read tarot back in the day. So I know that that's part of my gifts. I know that my dreams, my premonition dreams that I've had my whole entire life, they all come from my mother's side of the family because she gets premonition dreams, her mom gets premonition dreams, yada, yada, yada. But I felt like the majority of my spiritual gifts come from my father's side of the family. It felt like whoever is in my bloodline were absolute legends. They were highly, highly, highly gifted souls. So I'm really interested to figure out where that comes from. Who holds my gifts? Who created history, essentially? Like, that's what I'm feeling in my gut, is like somebody was major in history, even if it wasn't recorded. That's the other thing, is a lot of my dad's history is like taken away from us, unrecorded. Like our story, our origins got erased. So who knows? So yeah, super interesting. Also, the Métis thing. My dad's ancestry test, he did reveal this to me. It came back with a certain percentage Irish, which was the biggest amount, the biggest percentage within his results there was Irish. And we come from Galway, which was really funny because before his ancestry test, I was listening to Galway Girl by Ed Sheeran, and I was sitting there daydreaming and going, I wish he was speaking about me, because I'm a romantic person in my soul. I love romance. So I always daydreamed, I hope he's singing about me. And then come to find out I am from Galway, and I am a Galway girl, so not wrong. Anyways, so that was the biggest percentage of my father's side of the family is from Galway. And then there was a certain percentage of English, like British. And then I think I remember him telling me there was a small percent of Métis, but I can't fully remember that right now. I think I kind of brushed that off. And then I know on my mother's side that the immediate family all are Dutch. They all come from the Netherlands. So it'll be interesting. I am super excited to see what these results reveal. It's probably going to be another few weeks before I get the results, but they're coming. Stay tuned, stay subscribed, make sure you like, comment. I want to hear your DNA stories, not just me sharing my stories. I want to hear your stories about your family secrets that you were uncovering and discovering. If anybody else is interested in this type of stuff, I feel like I'm an alien on a planet over here because nobody else seems to be as interested in their family history as I am. So let me know that I'm not alone. Make sure you comment. Okay, until the next time, I will see you later. I don't know how much more long form content I can create based off of what I have until I get the results, but I will try my best. Mwah! See you soon. Sending love and light.